Hello everyone. Before I get into the main topic of the video, I just wanted to apologise in brief. Those who've seen the post over on what used to be the community tab, it's now just the posts tab. You'll be aware of this. My wife was in and out of hospital recently, and that sort of curtailed, you could probably understand, making videos and so forth. So there's been a lack of uploads recently, and I apologise for that. I did say in the post over on the post tab that I was hoping to come back to the channel with Mannequin of the Month, which is what we have here. And going forward, there should be a video per week, as there was previously. Barring any other issues, but we seem to be on a much more even keel now, which is a great relief. So what we're talking about here is the Mannequin of the Month for August of 2025. And the topic was, of course, chosen via a poll over on Patreon. And this is the set of kit and so forth that was selected over there. The corporal tier, of course, get the opportunity to vote each month on what's going to be covered in Mannequin of the Month. And I think this is the first time that Irish kit, or a set of Irish kit, has come top of the poll. And quite interesting. Obviously, I'm particularly interested in the Irish Army's involvement on the Republic side of the border and in internal security duties as well. And that's basically what this kit is set up to represent, is an Irish soldier, a 3-star private involved in internal security operations, either along the border or potentially providing support to the Garda in weapons searches, outside court hearings, that sort of thing. The Irish Army was deployed in quite a varied in varied circumstances to provide support to the Garda, as well as performing border patrols and so forth as well. It's also, this is a set of kit from the late 1980s. I think I neglected to mention that. It's an interesting transition era for the Irish Army from the mid-80s through to the late 80s and into the early 90s. There was a transition in terms of the uniform, in terms of some of the equipment, and of course the weaponry used as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we look at the kit on the Mannequin here. So starting at the top, as we normally do, introduced in the mid-1980s, we have here an Israeli helmet, sometimes referred to as the M76, and these were the standard issue helmet, the Irish Army in the mid to late 80s and going forward, replacing the British Mark IV and Royal Armoured Corps pattern helmets, which had been used previously. So that was a change which came in the mid-80s and does change the look of the Irish soldier quite considerably. That's worn here with obviously a helmet net over the top, as you can see, held in place with electrical tape, which is a very common thing to see at the time. Very common method of attaching the helmet net. Over the top of the combat jacket, we have here body armour, and this is in an Irish-made cover. This has been covered on the channel in detail relatively recently. Inside this, you actually have a full set of US 3/4 collar body armour, including the nylon cover, the US-made nylon cover, with this Irish cotton sateen cover over the top. It's made of basically the same material as the combat uniform, which, being a derivative of the 1960 pattern, the British 1960 pattern, is made of sateen. So you have basically an analogue of the nylon cover with 2 breast pockets there, concealed closure down the front. We did look at this in detail, as I say, in a previous video, so I won't go into too much detail here, but this is an example of the Irish-made body armour covers which were in use at this time. Introduced in the mid-1970s, around then, and used right the way through the end of the 80s, although other patterns of body armour were being introduced around this time as well. It's still very common to see the 3/4 collar body armour as we have here. As I say, the combat coat, I think it is in Irish nomenclature, but certainly combat jacket, is worn underneath this. This is something we have looked at on the channel previously. It's a derivative of the 1960 pattern. It deletes the top breast pockets with button flap closures, replacing them with vertical zip pockets on each breast, and then the lower pockets are very similar to that of the 1960 pattern. It's basically, as I say, a modified version of 1960 pattern. A lot of the details, of course, are obscured by the body armour, but just to mention those details here. In terms of equipment, you can see we have a stripped down set of 1958 pattern equipment here, very typical for the kit carried in internal security operations. You have the 2 ammunition pouches here at the front and the belt underneath, slung low on the hips to basically allow this to be worn and not interfere with the body armour. Obviously worn without the yoke to support it in this instance. The load is just slung around the hips on the belt. You'll see the other pouches attached to this equipment as we move this round, and it is basically a standard components of 1958 pattern, with one exception and one detail I'll mention as we move this round as well. This would of course be carrying ammunition at this time for the FAL, the FN FAL. In the late 80s, the Irish Army transitioned from the FAL to the Steyr AUG. So again, that's another transition you see at this time, is a change in the weaponry used by the Irish Army. The rifle used by the Irish Army changed at this time, around this time as well. So just a point to note here. We'll start moving this around now so we can have a look at some of the other details. Looking at the right-hand side of the mannequin here, looking at the top, you can see the side profile of the helmet there, the body armour coming down here. You have the sleeve of the combat jacket, and you can see we have the 3-star private rank worn here. This is effectively equivalent to private first class. So that was the designation used in the Irish Army for basically the equivalent to that rank, say in the US Army, 3-star private, which is shown by the 3 stars in a sort of triangular shaped badge there in full colour. The insignia worn on combat uniform at this time by the Irish Army was full colour. Subdued insignia hadn't been introduced by this point, and it's basically the same badges as would be used on the service dress uniform as well. So they say you have that rank badge worn on the arm there. You can see the elbow reinforcement here, obviously a button cuff which can be adjusted in if required. And you can see there's a gusset in the cuff there, basically derived from the second version, the revised version of the 1960 pattern combat uniform. If we lift the arm out of the way, we can see the right-hand ammunition pouch here, carried on the belt around the hips there. And then behind this, we have an interesting pouch. This is the pouch for the gas mask, the respirator. And this contains, again, an Israeli respirator. These, I believe, had been introduced in around 1987, the mid-late 80s, somewhere around there. It's difficult to tell only looking from photographs. There is not a huge amount of information out there on Irish MBC chemical protective kit at all, but certainly these show up in footage and photographs from around 1987 onwards. And then obviously this would be superseded once PLCE was introduced. It's a very simple nylon pouch, and it contains, I think, referred to the M15 Israeli gas mask in there with the filter detached. That seems to be the only way of getting them in these, but they were commonly carried by troops engaged on aid to the Garda and so forth, internal security duties, which is what we're looking at here. I've always assumed for use in case of the need to use tear gas or anti-riot agents, that sort of thing. You can also see the side lacing for the body armour under the arm there as well. There's not a huge amount to talk about at the back here. There's nothing really of consequence. You can see the side profile of the water bottle pouch round on the left hip, and on the right hip here you can see the profile of the pouch used to carry the respirator there, which simply comes down to a seam at the bottom. There's no sort of base sewn in. It's just stitched together at the bottom there, as you can see, comes down in a taper to that stitched seam at the base. That's the back of the mannequin. We'll move this round now and have a look at the left-hand side. And on the left-hand side here, you can see that rank is worn on both arms. We again have the 3-star private's badge there on the arm of the combat jacket. If we lift the arm out of the way, you can see the water bottle carried round on the hip here. This is in a first pattern, 1958 pattern water bottle pouch, and these seem to have been the standard issue for the Irish Army right the way through. I've yet to come across a photograph showing the second pattern in use, which would make good sense if these were purchased and then issued fairly early on in the service life of 1958 pattern, before the second pattern had been introduced, or that these were what was sold on to the Irish Army for use. They stuck with the original design and then never bothered to transition when the British Army did over to the slightly larger pouches which close with a strap. As I say, for all the photographs I've seen of Irish use of 1958 pattern, this is the water bottle pouch that's carried, and inside this, of course, you have the water bottle and the plastic cup, the nylon cup rather, nested together inside there. And you can also see, obviously, the left-hand ammunition pouch carried on the belt there as well, as noted at the start, slung low on the hips so they don't interfere with the wearing of the body armour. So a relatively simple set of kit here, but some recently arrived items which have allowed me to put this together. And I think it's an area which isn't particularly discussed, Irish kit, not in any great detail, but for me, it's very interesting, the Irish operations on the Republic side of the border, and the kit and uniform is part of that, of course. So I'm very pleased to be able to cover it in a Mannequin of the Month here, and I hope you found it interesting. If you have found this interesting and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button down below. That will, of course, alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And of course, it's the corporal tier over on Patreon, as mentioned at the start of the video, which gives you the opportunity each month to vote on what's going to be covered in Mannequin of the Month. And as I always say, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It really is greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below, and pictures of this will be posted up over there as well, of course. And if you'd like to get in touch with me but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address in the description as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.